Proceeded at that point into our simulated countdown.
Lunchtime, kids! All right!
Yum, 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 yum.
Hello, friends. It's lunchtime.
Well, hello there and welcome back. I am Josh. Happy Wednesday to you. We are joined in studio with a full cast today. We have Zach, Anna, and running the board today is Matt. Zach, how was your vacation?
It was good. Yeah, I'm excited to be back. It's been a minute. Spent a lot of time surrounded by friends and family, which was great. I spent some time on the beach, and now I'm looking to dip my toes back in the water.
Oh,
so
look at that.
I practiced that in front of the mirror this morning. I thought it was clever. So yeah, it was great.
The beach? I thought you were in Michigan.
They have beaches in Michigan, believe it or not. They got some lakes over there. I didn't know if you knew that. Yeah.
Like River Beach?
Does that count though?
I mean, you wouldn't know it. Like, honestly, if I took a picture and sent it to you, you wouldn't know the difference between the beach and the ocean because the Great Lake Michigan specifically is so big you can't see the other side or anything.
Some huge beaches in
So it
Michigan.
genuinely just looks like the beach from the coast, like you wouldn't know. So yeah, big beaches out there.
Yeah.
So,
No, sir. We're better than
well
that.
done,
We're better than that.
Thank you. Oh my
So
God.
we want to get in. You know, here on the lunch break, we air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, on Facebook, and or on Twitter. We solve the really hard questions.
Yeah.
We get asked multiple things. We scour the web constantly.
I don't know if you knew that about us.
Yeah, but we do. We seek to find the hard-hitting questions and bring them to light, and see what the Facebook audience feels about these kind of questions. And if there is a modern-day philosopher out there, it has to be this man, Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Dallas's own. He's from Dallas.
He is.
Yeah.
I need a bit of context. Who is this person?
Post Malone has a song, Rockstar. He has the white guy with dreads and gold teeth.
He is let me explain. He is a SoundCloud rapper, all right, which there's a lot of them out there, but he's one of the few that's like been wildly successful. He's this white dude named Austin that was born in Dallas and started putting beats on SoundCloud, and his parents were like, you got to go out and get a job, and he was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And it turned out he actually made some really good stuff, and it got him to a point where he was actually like going to venues and doing concerts, and now he makes a bajillion dollars.
Yep.
Living like a vagabond, riding dirty, and that's him. Yeah, and he's a rad dude.
I think I saw a tweet one time that made me laugh, and it said, Post Malone looks like that 1% of the germs that Lysol doesn't kill. And I was like, that's funny. So in the late night ramblings of Post Malone, he had a tweet. And the tweet was posing a question to all his fans and friends out there, which is, and I'll quote him exactly, is meatball and fruit? Is meatball and fruit? Not and fruit. I think he meant to say, is meatball a fruit? Which is still a dumb question.
Sure.
But a question.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if there's any way you can determine whether or not he actually meant to say is meatball a fruit at this point, right? I mean, who knows what that could have been.
Well, you had a little anecdote earlier about his Bud Light connection.
Yeah, Post Malone, he did a video like MTV Cribs, very much inspired by. He's a millennial. Why not? He loves MTV Cribs, and he made a video, put it on YouTube, of his house, and like where he lives, and he's got this sponsorship deal with Bud Light, where he has an official like licensed Bud Light fridge in his living room next to his futon, because he's the kind of guy that just has a Bud Light fridge and a futon.
Sure.
And it is constantly full of ice cold Bud Light. Like they come by like twice a day to refill it because he and his crew drink that much Bud Light all the time. Just any day. Like he just rolls out.
Makes perfect
boom,
sense.
Bud Light. Like that's what I'm drinking. That is what he's about. I guess it fuels his creativity and sick beats. That's what he's about.
Obviously, it does.
Bud
Good
Light.
for you. Yeah. Here's the only way I can even make this a legitimate question. So a meatball is ground beef used with other stuff in it. It's not just a solid ground beef. There's usually like a filler in there of some sort.
Yeah. You can put all sorts of things.
onion,
Yeah. Onion, garlic.
Oregano.
Yeah. So here's my question. If you made a meatball with fruit inside, so we're talking like cranberries, some sort of some more of the savory fruits, what ratio would it have to be? If it was 51% fruit and 49% meat, is it a fruit ball?
Is it a fruit ball? I
Is
mean,
it a pie?
I think that is where this conversation is going. Is what is the ratio of fruit to meat for it to still be considered a meatball, but also a fruit?
well, I don't think you would consider it I mean, even if like Anna said, even if a pie is mostly comprised of fruit, you still don't call it a fruit, right? It's a pie.
Right.
So I can't imagine a scenario where even if you made a 75% fruit meatball, as stupid as that sounds, that you would call it has now transformed into a fruit.
Yeah.
Or a fruit ball. I mean,
It's
I guess
not a Pokemon. It is not a ball.
Right. It doesn't quite cross that line. This is going to sound ignorant of me. Avocado, right?
Yeah.
Is that a fruit or vegetable?
Fruit.
Okay. You can do avocado and meat. I read somewhere
I
it
think
was.
it's
That's why I
fruit.
bring
is
that up.
avocado and fruit?
Right. And that's
pose
why
that
I'm like,
question?
maybe you could do some kind of like vegan avocado based something that's like not really a meatball, but they call it a meatball, and that's the closest you're ever gonna get, I think, to meatball and fruit.
It is technically a fruit.
I want you to
Nailed
know.
it.
I maybe this is my time away. I genuinely thought this was gonna be a little bit of a descriptor to lead into a conversation about like the problem with celebrity and privilege in
Why
America.
would you think
and social media. No. This is meatballs and fruit. That's what we're breaking down here.
I mean, let's break this down to exactly what he's asking
Sure,
here.
no,
Because he's
yeah.
not asking if you put enough fruit in a meatball, does it become a fruit? He's asking, is a meatball, I guess as we traditionally view a meatball, is it a fruit? I cannot even wrap my head around how you get to that question.
I had a tweet a while back to shamelessly plug myself, and somebody shut me down real quick on this, but hear me out. One night, after a little bit of drinking, a little bit of fun, I got on Twitter at like 2 a.m. and I said, okay, if you thought of the world in a very medieval way, if you brought a villager from the 1300s or whatever to now, and you gave them any kind of liquid, would they look at the things we consume as either potions or poisons? That was the pitch, right?
Okay.
Like, you drink something that's bad for you, something that makes you feel bad, like alcohol gives you a hangover. Is that a form of a poison, right? And then something that makes you feel good, like water or Gatorade with electrolytes, is that a potion?
I mean, they had water and alcohol.
Can you dilute everything we do down to those categories? And I think the answer is no. So when it comes to, and that's not the same as meatballs and fruit, but I guess that's how you get to this kind of logic, is you're like, let's ask the tough questions. Is meatballs a fruit?
I mean, is the thinking here, if it has tomato sauce in it, does that...
I guess, because tomato is a fruit.
Yes. Technically,
But-
yes. I don't know.
I can't pose an
dare
argument.
say we've lost our way in the mindless haze of Post Malone, who was clearly stoned when he made this tweet, because
Really love to know.
These are the kind of things, if you've never been around someone who has consumed the heft-headed cigarette, this is the kind of conversations that spur out of those types of environments. We
a good
have
one.
more great and classic American things to do, like jumping out of cars for an online stunt. It goes just the way you think it would go. That and more coming up next on the Lunch Break Show. That is one of those things. Have you ever seen the way Adele does her makeup?
No.
Adele does similar. I don't think she like puts on like where you have to cut off the nose or anything.
Yeah.
But it's called contouring, the way that you put on the nose. To
Yeah, but it's like
accent thing.
shadowing. It's applying.
It makes it look
dark
narrow,
eyeshadow,
but the way that you can do contouring, she looks completely different than she does on stage.
Right.
And she says that it takes her like an hour or whatever it is, or 2 hours to get her makeup done. But she goes, I love it because I can go out and get a cup of tea afterwards and no one knows. Like no one sees me and goes, are you Adele?
Yeah.
At worst, it'd be like, hey, if like Adele had a cousin, it could be you.
It's like Johnny Knoxville with the old man makeup, except in reverse. Right. That's his whole bit. I felt weird because when we put that together, I was like, I wonder if anybody's going to get like offended by this. That we're like criticizing somebody's like the way they choose to present themselves to the world. That's not it at all. I thought it was weird, like body horror level stuff with like putting a stick through your nose and pulling off silicone that you thought was skin. Like there's something that to me is just like whoa, but like live your best life, I guess.
I mean, that goes far beyond just contouring makeup. Where you're actually applying prosthetics.
Yeah, like I did not know that was a thing where you actually like put on like a chin kind of thing and like
which
shave it off,
stay tuned. We have something relating to that coming up later on, involving one of our own.
Here's my question. I don't think any of us here would do that, but let's say you felt inclined because that's your best self.
Sure,
as Zach said.
Yeah.
To do that, the silicone nose. If you did that, at what point in time do you tell the person that you're trying to woo, after you've wooed them, oh, by the way, this is fake?
All right.
Okay. I mean, just
sound effect.
Yeah.
Just
I want to put that out there. If we get into a hardcore makeout sesh, this thing could come off.
Don't rub my nose too hard.
Yeah. I mean, at what point in time do you have that conversation with someone?
Well, I think you gotta, if you're gonna be being somebody who does not do makeup at all. So, just so you all know, this is all me. I mean, it's got to be a matter of like almost like hobbyist presentation. You have to know who you are and what you're about. You're not going to get away with that forever, especially if it's somebody you're trying to have a relationship with or spend time with. So it's got to be easy first, second date. What are you into? Makeup. That's my hobby. Like that is what I do. All of this is a whole presentation, and like there's totally something else going on underneath. At least there's some mystique to that, right?
Yeah, and I also think that I mean I don't know how prevalent it is in Asian cultures, but it seems like at least that's where you see a lot of it. So I have to think that if you are going on a date in those cultures, that you might at least somewhat expect, hey, the person I'm sitting across from might have a lot of makeup on, and or prosthetic makeup. Over here, it might be. That might be the last thing that I would expect is to be sitting across from someone who's like peeling off their eyelids and things like that.
I gotta be honest. I have two things on this. One, when I was living in the UK, it was very standard for women to say, British women to say, I do not go out on the street without makeup. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I actually met a guy that said I was dating this girl, and she would take the makeup off, and I would turn the light off. So. When we were about to go to sleep after she removed the makeup, he's like, I am not going to look at her. So I actually never knew how she looked like without makeup.
There's a question there. Was that his call or her call?
His call. He told me.
Either way is tragic.
It's horrible. What are you talking about? It's so mean. It's like you can't be you.
Yeah.
You're not confident.
But you're not confident in who you are either because you're putting on all the coat. So if anything... Again, this is a far reach, but I'm respecting her by turning off the lights when she takes off her makeup.
That is a reach.
No.
No.
At the same time, actually, there was a story, just quickly, in somewhere in Asia, I can't remember which country, that there was a wedding, and the groom sued the wife, or the husband sued the wife because she did not look like that in real life, so he would have ugly babies, and he was suing her for untruthful
I saw
stuff,
this.
and I'm like, what on heavens is
okay
this?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in these stories. Yeah, these are all different. Yeah, we're really bird walking here.
I also would like to point out the comments seem to be thinking that we're saying makeup is like a lie or something like that.
No,
That's not it at all. That's not it at all.
It's
but putting on makeup is obviously different than putting on prosthetics as a normal part of your makeup. So, and it's not even a question of do you hate that person then when they take off their fake nose? It's just do you let them know? Do you tell someone?
Right.
It's not a matter. This is not a men versus women thing. This is not a makeup is a lie and women are ugly without makeup. That's not what this is all. We're just wondering if you would expect someone to say that on a date.
No, makeup's rad. Who was it? Megan in here that said makeup is art. Like I'm totally into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a practice, man. Like that's a whole thing. But like if I feel like I'm gonna talk myself into a hole here. If you're blonde and you dye your hair redhead and you live your whole life redhead, that's great. But then if you get married to somebody and 10 years down the line you decide you're not gonna start doing it anymore and your hair starts growing out blonde, they're gonna want to know why. They're gonna be like, whoa, like what is this? Like it's not that big of a deal. But like there's no reason to hide that. And makeup is a little bit more immediate because you put it on and take it off every day, right? So if you want to wear makeup and do that, like go nuts, man. That stuff is rad. I'm into it. But like a little bit of honesty, maybe, like with the person you're spending the rest of your life with. I don't know.
I assume everybody's hair is dyed at this point. Everybody's wearing makeup at this point. Like it's something that you just assume. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, we're all putting our best foot forward. Yeah. Sure.
So we started off this before we got sidetracked by this glorious conversation. We got started off.
Of course, people have to take it too seriously.
No, it's good stuff. Yeah.
About car jumping. So this is a new like YouTube or Twitter thing, like a trend where I guess you're trying to jump from moving car to moving car.
No. So you are so it actually started as a challenge when you're trying to dance miming the moves that Drake does on the song what's the song? I forgot.
Now we all don't know.
It's
looking at me is not going to help you.
Anyway,
Matt, what's that hot Drake track?
The thing is Kiki, but it's not Kiki. Anyway, so the initial challenge was miming him doing the moves in the song, and then at some point this kind of migrated into people hopping off of their cars, dancing to the song. So, and that's what we're seeing. So trying to successfully exit the vehicle while the vehicle is moving.
Right, leaving the door open.
While someone is filming them.
So is this drivers?
Yes.
Often. It started with passengers, but then it started with, well, isn't it? Well, because it's cooler if you're driving and then you open your door and hop out and it's somebody in passengers filming you and then secretly steering. Right.
No way.
Well, that is rad. To be fair, it is. Well, it is
because
cooler.
My car, like with me not touching the gas or the brake, my car goes like 7 miles or 8 miles an hour.
Right.
I'm not dancing at that pace.
I think many of these people are quickly figuring that
out.
Yeah. It turns out you cannot dance at the rate your car is idling down the street.
I think as the video will prove that it doesn't necessarily work out for everyone.
Yeah.
Get it, boy. Yeah. Hey, oh, hey, come on, man, get up. Hey, get the door. Hey, come on. No, we gotta go fast, dude. Hey, slow down. Come on, bro. Hey.
He looks like he's in so much pain.
It's concussed.
Look at that final face. Oh my God!
I love her dedication to continuing to film this.
Yeah.
On the hope. She'll come back.
Yeah.
She'll come back. just countless videos of this.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, so there you go. You'll be seeing one of those shortly of one of us trying to jump out of our
absolutely.
car. Yeah.
Oh gosh. It is wonderful. Society has found a reason to get people to hop out of cars while they're moving, and we can all sit back and laugh at them. It's pretty great.
I don't know how this becomes a thing. Like,
right,
I don't know
we were talking about that earlier. How does this become a spectacle? How does this become a challenge? Like, oh, everybody's got to do the ice bucket challenge or this. Like, how are people hopping out of cars?
I can understand it slightly if you're the passenger, and it's and there have been a few of those, which we saw or I don't know that we had any on there, but we saw some others where people were running into light poles and signs and tripping over trees or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand how these things metastasize into this final version of a driver jumping out of a moving vehicle trying to dance along the way and inevitably falling down.
One thing's for sure, I got to give an honorable mention to all of the lost outtakes that are out there, because with the hundreds of hours of content that go on the internet every minute, like, think how many people film this with their friends and their friend did something dumb like that and they were like, no, that's dumb. We have to redo it and do it right. And then they put a corrected version on the internet. Like, no, that's as good as it gets. That is the best thing to come out of these videos is those people falling over and hurting themselves. So, I don't know.
Well, but again, like, the thing for me is that when you see your driver fall down and your car rolls away from them, and their reaction is to keep filming and not immediately jump in the driver's seat to stop said car. Yeah.
I guess everyone is looking for that, the 15 seconds of fame. So it's kind of like taking it to the next level. It's kind of like, let me see where we can go with this. Let me see if they can get back up and make it like an incredible recovery.
Sure.
I do wonder, you know, like it's kind of like, how can we make this the most, what's the recipe for the most viral video?
I appreciate that we normally, at least on some of them, we'll like throw credit in the bottom, like, oh, here's who this came from. We put that together quickly this morning, but even then, it's like, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to go throw them an Instagram follow because of their hot Drake fail vid. Like, nobody cares. You're not going to get any fame out of that. We're just laughing at the spectacle of it.
Yeah, good for you, Internet.
Well done.
Well done. Take a quick break. Speaking of Internet fame, we have a conversation about Kylie Jenner that involves my household and 2 covers of 2 different magazines. That and more coming up next on the Lunch Break Show. That last one came courtesy of our very own Andy Draper for short.
Andy Draper,
video game connoisseur, web host extraordinaire, and a stud, as you can tell here on the video. Girls, he is single.
What a chance!
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Sport. Yeah.
Here's my thing with those. One, I did like the Asian Harry Potter with the glasses.
Yeah.
The girls make the most dramatic changes. The guys just go from like looking casual, just looking like jerks.
Right. They throw on like a leather jacket with some zippers on it.
Like smoldering does not do it for me. So I don't know.
We do have a bit of a break theme going this episode, I realize.
Yeah.
With makeup and whatnot. So, no, good for them. Gosh.
I did like
Some
the
of them, I mean, they
Emperor.
are incredible, like, transformations.
The Emperor one was pretty great.
That was pretty, yeah.
There you go.
Jumping the shark a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Andy Draper for owning a white suit jacket.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Right.
He's doing white on white
And
today.
he's doing
Yeah.
white, yeah.
Dude,
We
white
were
on white,
impressed.
it's true.
Yeah,
It's got a good look.
Bold. I like it.
Bold.
We have a conversation here about Kylie Jenner, who normally I would not bring to the lunch break, and there were some groans in the production meeting about bringing her into the mix. But there's a good reason why. And one, I was doing some work yesterday at the house, and my son was in bed, and I heard my wife go, "Why? We were all rooting for you."
This is awful news.
Yeah. And I was like, "What in the world? What's going on?" So I get up and I walk in. Hey, is everything all right? And she shows me the phone, and it is the picture of Kylie Jenner on the GQ cover.
Mm-hmm. I won't show here. We're a family show.
Yeah, we're a family show, but she is not wearing any clothes, and she's straddling her boyfriend or husband. I think it's her husband. Either way,
What was
I don't
this?
know the exact relationship.
GQ.
Yeah.
GQ magazine?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's straddling her significant other, and he's like sitting in a chair like this, and she's all like holding him as if he is the king of the domain, and she is like his little like
Wow.
side action.
Yeah.
That is what that picture conveyed to me.
Right. It's very much like a modern cover of a fantasy novel or something like that.
Exactly. Well, whereas just 2 weeks ago, or maybe a little bit less, she was on the cover of Forbes. Mm-hmm. She had her hair pulled back, a business suit, and she was on her way to being, and again, this is what the questionable is, self-made billionaire.
Yeah.
I do love that dictionary.com threw some shade and was like, self-made means on her own. Just for the record.
For the
So
record, just
Right.
putting that out
Yeah,
there.
and I do like the shade from dictionary.com. So we can debate whether or not she's self-made. She's not, but we can definitely have that conversation. Either way, the point is, this is what my wife was so mad about, because she's not a fan of the Kardashians. I don't want to speak for her, but she's not a fan of the Kardashians. She does like what they've been able to do. They were given something, whether you agree with it or not, they've been able to shine it into an empire that makes them all lots and lots and lots of cash. You can't argue with that.
Sure.
How they got there, sure, you can question that. Their morals, sure, you can question that. Their talent, you can question that.
You can question the OJ verdict.
Sure, you question a lot of things.
Yeah.
But as far as like what they got and how they were able to spin it and make it into a dynasty, you can't really argue with that. That's proof. So the thing that my wife was most upset about, and what for the most part the internet seems mad about. Do we have the Forbes photo?
I can pull it up real quick.
Okay,
Give me a second.
Just to go from the Forbes photo of being like, I'm empowered, I'm strong, I'm independent, I'm self-made with air quotes.
Sure.
I'm doing all this stuff. I am living out my dream. I am not anyone's boss. I am the queen of my domain.
Is there any possibility that the Forbes, her business, I think, right, is her brand?
It's her makeup line. Her
Okay.
lip gloss.
Yeah, then makeup line. Yeah, she
Yeah,
does
makeup
have
line.
eyeshadow.
Okay, because on the surface, not knowing, I didn't even know she had a makeup line, so obviously I'm the best to speak about this. On the surface, I would have guessed any of the Kardashians' brand is your name, specifically Kim, Kylie, Kyrie. I don't know them all.
Yeah.
But like
Kyren,
that is your
obviously,
thing.
yeah.
It is you
Kylo
on
Ren.
Instagram. It is you on Snapchat. It is your tweets and your Facebook posts. It is your photos. That is your business. Your makeup line's cool, but like the only reason it works is because of who you are. Like I could make a makeup line tomorrow. Doesn't mean that I'm going to make $1 billion because
You won't.
I'm not anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the lunch break. And she is a Kardashian. Like she launches a makeup line, it's like launching 1,000 ships. So when I see this, I don't think, oh, it's because of her makeup line. I think it's because of who she is.
Sure.
That is your brand. That is your business. That is why you're on the cover of Forbes. So in the same way that she put on an outfit and posed for this, I would wager that her doing a GQ cover is essentially the same thing. It is her promoting her brand, which is her.
But I feel like this article was about like I'm not who my sister is. I'm not the person who's just rushing out to shamelessly plug by showing flesh. I am a serious entrepreneur was what the article was trying to say. I'm a serious entrepreneur who's about my branding, who's about my image, who's about, consulting, all the different things. I am a CEO in every right.
Uh-huh.
And then like a week and a half later, there she is, and I think it is her husband. Either way, it's her baby daddy. They're sitting there, and he's a rapper, but in no name. I don't know what his name is.
Yeah.
He's not like Kanye or Jay-Z or anything like that. But then she's sitting here like being like, for no reason, being nude on that cover, like holding him and hugging him. And it's like those two things, like these are like a juxtaposition of who you say you are, and then now you're right back to what everyone says you are.
Yeah.
And so like you're proving everyone who hates on you. And maybe that's part of their master plan. Hey, if you're talking about me because you hate me, you're still talking about me.
You're right.
And so I'll do both. I'll do this out the Forbes. I'll do the GQ. The polar opposites of professionalism in a post to me. And then that at least will be a conversation about my name and what I'm doing, either right or wrong.
I think you're right a little bit. Definitely with the cosmetics thing, you're right. $900 million cosmetics queen, it says on the cover there. And it does say, as the big headline states, America's women billionaires, the 60 richest self-made women. Seems to me Forbes is writing an article about breaking through the glass ceiling by being able to do something that women have not been able to do for a very long time.
Sure.
Right? By saying we are here and we are ready to make stuff happen. And I think putting her on the cover is a representation of a new generation, a younger generation, a new kind of woman up and coming, making that happen. Right?
Yep.
But I think maybe Forbes like kind of took that on the nose a little too much and was like, oh, it's her cosmetics line and that's the reason she's famous. It's like, it's kind of not though. Like, it's the same with self-made, right? Like she didn't exactly pull herself up by her bootstraps here. It wasn't like I came from poverty and now I'm making $1 billion. You don't have to be that to be a female billionaire. She can be up there just like the 59 others on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the other people on that list, but I imagine a lot of them probably came from at least a wealthy background or had a head start in some way. I mean, you can't say that. You probably couldn't look at anybody on that list and say you're truly 100% self-made, right?
Right. So I think her presentation in this article is just a little bit disingenuous. Like, that's not, you were kind of, you were kicking the cosmetic thing forward and you were like, that's what it is. And it's like, no, you should have been like, she is who she is because of Snapchat and social media.
But that's a talent in a way, right?
Oh, yeah,
like she's been able to spin that Instagram account into something that can make her nearly $1 billion, or with everyone donating to her, make her a billionaire.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, but whatever. I mean, good on her for doing that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think this goes way back on the lunch break, but I remember when we were talking about the cheerleader who was being punished because she posted a picture of herself in a bikini or something like that on her own Instagram. And I don't think, much like in that case, I don't think this is mutually exclusive, right? Like, I think you can be both. And it's, I mean, if it damages your perception of her to say, oh, you were just on the cover of Forbes, but now you're posing in a sexy photo shoot, whereas that's always been her brand from the beginning on Instagram. I mean, she can do both, and I don't think it necessarily undercuts one or the other, right?
Yeah, but my issue with this isn't the fact that she is in a sexy photo shoot. The thing is that Forbes has her as being like this, like, and again, everything else considered, she has a talent for making cash with, a cosmetic line that she doesn't make. So that's impressive all by itself.
Sure.
But to be like, I am this self-empowered CEO, executive, I am all of these things. And then the very next thing that you do is not, because again, if it was just a sexy post of her on, the cover of some sort of fashion magazine, I would be fine with that.
If it had been Cosmo, you probably would have been cool with it.
Totally cool with Cosmo. But this is a Gentleman's Quarterly magazine. And it's her unknown boyfriend sitting in a chair as if he's the king of some country. And she is not wearing a stitch of clothes and draped all over him. Which, to me, that is not a sense of like someone who, if a CEO, I'm trying to think of a famous CEO. If Mark,
Musk?
He could.
Sure. If
Mark Zuckerberg did the exact same thing and was on GQ, totally nude and holding on to his wife, like as if she was all, everyone would be like, "What's this guy thinking? He's crazy. He's paused it. This makes no sense. It doesn't, for her, she was saying, I'm not like my sister. I don't use sex to sell. I'm not like, all these other things. And then she goes and does the one thing that everyone says is your biggest thing that you shouldn't be doing right now, which is focusing on your brand and being strong and being powerful and hugging on to your husband who is unknown in the sense of like trait. Now, if that was reversed and she was sitting there and like something and he was onto her, that would be a really like powerful statement. But it's reversed.
Mm. Yeah, and I think again, my biggest issue with this is the way Forbes headlined her as like cosmetics queen, and like I think that should have been like social media, and like the way things are now is how you got to where you are. I mean, you're not Sally Mae. Like you're not selling Maybelline, like there's a reason you got to where you are, and I wish they had embraced that and not been like cosmetics, and that's the reason she's at where she's at, and because that completely flies in the face of who she seems to be, which is on the GQ cover, somebody who's radical and willing to do something different. That's where they should have gone with that.
But you can't really expect someone who is known and who grew following because of her very non-traditional show. The show sells because they are dramatic, because they are over the top, and everyone loves that. Everyone loves drama and following them around and being rich. So I feel it's totally on brand. So it's kind of like, well, how can we shock people? What's the next thing? And that's how I feel. That it's in brand for her, probably. She's like, okay, I want to be perceived as someone who's serious enough, who's a businesswoman. But then I want to shake the world because I'm not just any other businesswoman. Sure. But then she goes and...
But she's clearly not. Yeah, right. She's not any
So
other
a part of me is kind of like, shame on them for putting her as an object on him. Oh, my wife here taking care of me because that's who I am. At the same time, like, well, that's what she sells. She sells a very hardcore, strong emotion brand. So that's what I think what they went for.
Yeah, and I also just wonder if there's not a little bit of, I don't know, misguidedness if you're looking at Kylie Jenner as you're the one that's gonna like pull us, that's gonna lead the charge.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably any number of people in that magazine that you might be, I don't know, you might not have a problem with any photo shoot they might do in the future, and you could look to them as a beacon of inspiration.
Right. It feels like a skewed understanding, or maybe exactly what, and maybe I've got a skewed understanding of what the glass ceiling is and like what it means to break through it, and why you'd want to, and what it's all for, even if you do it. Like I don't know, what do I know?
I do like. I got called out by Megan. Is Mark Z known for fashion and beauty? No, he's not. And so it was a horrible analogy. But what I was saying was just like the stance of like, I'm a CEO, and then now I'm gonna do something that's totally out of character for someone who would be a traditional CEO. Yeah. Knowing that she's not a traditional anything. So
it's not out of character for her necessarily.
For her, cash is still king, and we're talking about that when we come up. What chores bring you the most money? If you're doing household chores for cash, stick around. Or if you're being hassled by your significant other for the chores that you do, you now know what that's going to be worth. That coming up next on the Lunch Break Show. Show. Again, I am Josh. We're here with Zach, Anna, and Matt's in the boards. On the boards?
On the boards.
In the boards.
In the boards.
On the ones and twos.
Yeah, we are the show called The Lunch Break Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also find us afterwards if you missed a live show wherever podcasts are being found. Please like, subscribe, follow, and if you want to, throw us a hot comment in the links below.
Yeah.
We're talking today about chores that make the most amount of cash. This is an interesting topic. I was kind of going through. I knew growing up for me, I had chores I had to do, and for the longest time there was no cash value to.
Did you get an allowance at all growing up?
No. So it's weird. I didn't for a long time, and then like when my parents were a little bit flush, I would get one. And then when they weren't flush, it would go away.
Yeah, like Christmas gifts.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I was one of those. Like that was a exposable expense.
Yeah.
So for a while, it was like I would mow the yard, and I would get $10 every time I mowed the yard. And that seems cheap, but I think the job was worthy of a $10 mow.
What kind of yard are we talking about here?
Acreage? No. Just
How
like
big?
we lived in the city, so just like a quarter acre.
Okay.
Okay. Quarter, whatever it is.
$10. That's pretty good for that.
Yeah, it took me about an hour and a half to do it, but they would give me $10 in cash a week to get the yard mowed.
Do you have to cover gas out of that?
No, they covered all the expenses.
That was the thing for me. We'll pay you to mow it, but you got to cover gas and upkeep.
Really?
For the
You gotta-
lawnmower.
Oh
Yeah.
You had a little side hustle, man.
It was not a side. It felt like I was getting hustled. Is what it felt like. I was
Hold
like,
on,
why am I doing this again? Like, what do I?
How much were they paying you to do that?
I think they'd pay me. It wasn't mowing specifically. They used to do this thing. Oh God, I think it was raking. I don't even remember at this point. No, it had to have been mowing because I was upkeeping the mower. Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, it was mowing. Of course it was mowing.
The gas for the rake?
Yeah. I psychologically blocked this out, see. They'd have me mow. They'd pay me like $8 to mow the yard or something, front, and then $8 to mow the back. So it was a pretty sweet deal. And the backyard was slightly bigger than the front yard, but it's the suburbs, so it all came out okay. Yeah, but I'd have to gas up the mower, and anytime my dad went and got gas, he would just cut that from whatever he would pay me. Because I was the one using the gas in the mower, and if it broke, like the blades or something, he would just cut that out of what he would pay me. Yeah,
Wow.
and he was like, "That's a business. You have to pay for your supply and your demand. Like that's how it works. That cuts into your profit margin." I was like, "Well, that's true, but it sucks when you're a kid. They hand you the money and then take a little bit away. It was like running a lemonade stand. It was horrible."
Gas is one thing. I mean, because gas is not that much. You get a 2-gallon can. You're spending what, $4 on that, and then that lasts you for. I mean, for me, that lasts me a while of mowing because it doesn't use that much gas. So
yeah,
that's
but you're on a whole new level, Matt.
yeah.
You are very skilled. You're an expert in mowing, we heard.
Yeah,
So.
of course. But still, I mean, you're not using that much. But upkeep, like if you have to
Oil and
replace
whatnot,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. Oh yeah, it was a whole lot of dude.
Your dad
If it
hustled
looked
you.
real bad, he'd be like, "You better get out there and wash that grass off because it's the whole thing." it was a scheme, man.
This
Yeah.
is
Pride in your work.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Why don't you just have electric?
We don't do
Lawnmowers.
that here.
Electric lawnmowers?
You
We don't do electric
That's what we do in
lawnmowers.
Europe. You have a plug, an
no.
extension, and
No.
off
It's like
you
a vacuum
go.
cleaner.
They're not as prevalent here. I've seen them. A couple of my neighbors have them, and they're not as prevalent.
And they're
here.
stupid because they have always have watch where the cord's going.
It's terrible.
But it don't
Yeah.
have a smell. Doesn't it smell?
No, who cares?
Oh, it's not bad.
Do you know?
This is America.
Yeah, you're like by now you're like
I like it.
sweet
I like it.
smell, grass and
You know
petrol.
how many American men would electrocute themselves every year if that was a thing here? Oh my God, that'd be wild.
Oh, you
people
still have
running over those
to. You
cords.
still have to push it. It's
Sure.
not one of those that you just like hop on and. brrr.
Yeah.
riding mower.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's the dream.
That's a horrible. Yeah, I had a riding lawnmower when we lived in East Texas. So we had that, and then for a while, it became a punishment. So if I was like in trouble, I had to like mow the yard or like rake because we lived out in East Texas where like we had tons of pine trees.
Yeah.
and that was a much bigger property, and so I had to rake all the pine needles down. And I feel like then they began to look for it. Kind of became like our prison system today. Like they realized, oh hey, this is great. We got to find a reason to
Look
get this
for
guy in
reasons to get
trouble.
you out there.
Yeah, no, sorry, Josh. You came in half a second late
Yeah.
on your curfew. Lawn duty tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
kinda one of those kind of things.
Oh, I
No.
definitely was one of those kids. Like my parents looked for a reason to punish me to get something done around the house. They're like, "Man, that yard really needs to be raked. What's Zach got going on lately? You got a C on your last report? Jesus, Zach, here's the rake." Like, yeah, it's very it's a slick operation.
So they had the list they came up with was the 10 most lucrative chores. Number 3 is the most surprising to me, which is gardening. What kids had gardening as their like?
Did they include? Is raking leaves a separate entry on that? Because does that include like
Maybe
cleaning out flower bushes or things like that, or flower beds?
I guess that
Maybe
makes sense. I can't imagine like growing tomatoes is your chore.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be. I guess.
Yeah, you're in charge of the
Tending the
family's,
garden.
Yeah, fall feast.
Yeah.
Is all on you. Mopping the floor, cleaning the bath. Those were all pretty standard. My family did the thing where, especially in the leaner times, it was like when I would say, "Hey, like, do I get paid for this?" They would go, "Yes, you get paid in room and lodging, and you get to sleep sleep in our house, and you get to eat our food. So otherwise, we can bill you for those services and goods."
My parents raised me in debt. That was you owe us because I mean, obviously they didn't shove it in my face, but anytime I was like, hey, can I get a couple bucks like to go to this, they were like, look where you live. Like, who do you think pays for your food?
I didn't ask to be living here. I didn't get a choice in this matter.
You're welcome to take your 2 changes of clothes and go if you'd like. Yeah, that did not work out for me. It's very sweet of them though.
I remember I lost when I was in Little League. This was a very defining moment for me. I lost a baseball hat. And the rule is if you couldn't play without a hat. And the hat had to match the teams. You had to have the hat. And as y'all guys know, I tend to lose things. And so I had lost this hat, and it was not my first offense. I had lost a hat before. Parents went out and bought like the $5 hat. I got to have another hat. Lost that one. So mom goes, "Well, sorry, you can't find your hat. You're not going to be able to play." We had like 5 more games left. But and my mom was a hard stance kind of woman. She made a hard stance. It was done. There's no fighting. You can argue. It didn't matter. The hard stance was going to be made. And I think what she wanted me to do was like spend the rest of the day cleaning my room to find the hat. I had other plans. So I went out in the garage, grabbed a rake and a shovel, and went door to door as if I'm like on the cover of that farmer that has the rake in his hand, going, "Hey, can I pull weeds?"
American Gothic.
Gothic.
Wow.
There you go. Can I pull weeds for you guys, or do you need any help doing this? And I ended up pulling weeds for like 4 hours in this guy's yard for $5. I got hosed in that deal. Hindsight.
Yeah, that's a good deal for that dude.
My mom ended up getting in the car, realizing that I had left the house and took supplies. So she drove around the neighborhood until she found me. And I was in some guy's yard pulling weeds. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm pulling weeds. He paid me $5 to pull weeds." She's like, "When do you get to stop?" She's like, "Whenever I'm done." It was a yard full of weeds. She's like, "Get in the car." So I got in the car, but I got to go buy the hat.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I never had an allowance growing up. Like it was not a thing that we did, or I didn't get paid for chores. I just had to do chores.
Yeah.
But I remember my mom once tried to institute a thing where it was a chore sheet, and at the top I got to write down something that I really wanted. And then it would be like, okay, so to get this, you have to do this many chores for this many days in a row or this many weeks. And so I did it. I only did it once, but I did it. And the one thing I wrote down was the cassette tape of MC Hammer's "Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em," which is a great album, by the way. It has a lot of hits on it. That was the one thing that I desperately wanted right then was that cassette tape, and I got it, and I wore that thing out because it was a great cassette. But yeah, it was just this, and I don't think we ever did it again. I don't know that there was anything else that I needed that desperately to do chores for.
Where do you guys, just a quick bird walk here, where do you guys get on working one over on a kid? Just straight taking advantage of a kid who doesn't know any better.
I'm not going to be okay with saying I'm okay with it.
I mean, because that happened to you. Yeah, it was like this guy was like $5. Totally. Yeah, like he knew the score. He saw the writing on that wall. Like he let you do that for 4 hours outside of his house, and like that was all right.
It was hot too, by the way. I
Oh,
was
of
outside
course.
It was summertime.
East Texas, right?
No, this was in Plano.
Oh, okay. Well, still.
I was out there just picking out weeds. Of course, to be fair, I could have been pulling grass. I have no idea what I was doing. I was just grabbing stuff and
You're
pulling.
just looking at things.
Yeah.
I had a kid a while back. I had gone to Wingstop, of all places, and there's a Walgreens next to Wingstop, and this kid rolls up to me on his scooter when I get out of my car, and he goes, "Hey, how old are you?" And I was like, 26. And he's like, okay.
He asked you how
and he
old you
rolled
were?
away. Yeah, it's just some kid on a scooter. He was probably 13 or 14. I was like, that was weird. So I go inside, I order my food, I'm sitting there waiting. This kid comes back in. He comes up to me, he goes, "Hey, I don't know if you're like cool or not. Can you go to Walgreens and buy me a vape? Like a vape pen?" It's like 13 or 14.
What?
I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I have money. I can like pay you like to do it." Like $23 or something. I thought about it and I was like, "No, I'm good, man. Sorry. Like, I'm not about that. Like, he's like, all right. And he took off. And, like, I thought about it after. I'm like, I should have taken his money and then just left. What's he going to do? Like, I should have just, like, well,
steal
as a
from a
lesson,
child?
kid. Yeah.
Right.
Or, like, better yet, this is the one I really wish I had done. Taking his money and be like, I got you, man. Go inside and then just, like, tell the manager and duck out the back. Like, just have the, like, just work one over on him. Like,
Call
well,
the
here you
cops.
go.
Nice.
Yeah. That's big. That's a little fish in a big pond. And I didn't because I was like, well, that's not my place to do something like that. Like, that's not a lesson he needs to learn from a stranger. But clearly some people, like, it's not the same, but they like, don't feel that way. There's some adults out there who are like, that's the nature of the beast. That's how it goes. I didn't know where you guys were on that.
Much.
I would have said this. I like the way he posed the question.
Yeah.
Of, I'm not sure if you're cool or not. Because your automatic response is, well, obviously I'm cool.
Yeah, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
duh.
wasn't he
Yeah.
cool
He asked
with
how old
that?
I was. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of those deals. I've had kids ask me for beer before, and as someone who grew up having to ask people to buy them beer,
Yeah.
I respect the hustle.
Sure, of course you do.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not doing it for them.
Right.
Because we always had like someone's brother. Like there was always that connection.
Yeah.
But there was never
You
like,
weren't walking up to strangers
no,
saying,
I
hey,
was
man.
going to 7-Eleven and going to some strange guy going, hey man,
Life is about networking. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the lesson there.
I could use some really crappy beer, and I got $20.
Yeah.
So that's one of those deals. By the way, the most profitable chore you could do is in fact mowing the yard. On average, you get $8.6 to mow a yard. So
$8.6.
me and you were living the high life at 10 and 16.
That's right. Well, hey, front and back. All right, it was.
Well, that's a yard. You
Well,
can
yeah,
mow
mowing
the
the
whole
yard includes both yards.
Yeah,
It's
you
not-
don't just
Is
get
that how
mow
that
one.
worked in your guys' house?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get charged for gas, so little column A, little column B.
Little column B. Before we take off today, I want to talk about this thing called the lava bomb.
yes.
What is the lava bomb about?
Well, so I mean, you know that the eruption has been going on in Hawaii, right?
Yep.
Lava streaming out into the ocean.
Yep.
It's sort of fallen off the news lately because it's not overtaking cars and stuff as much as it was, but it is still flowing out into the ocean, and so people are doing boat tours of the lava flows. Like they're taking boats up
Genius.
close to where the lava is
Yeah,
coming out.
brilliant.
And taking video of it. And one of them recently, apparently it happens where I guess lava hits the ocean. I'm sure steam builds up and it explodes, like throwing hot oil onto a pan or something.
Yeah.
It'll pop. So it sends molten rock flying through the air, and these things called lava bombs, and they're just giant, pieces of molten rock. So one of these boats that pulled up a little too close got hit by one. And a bunch of people got injured. I think a lady broke her leg because it hit her.
Nice.
And now we have video of it.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Let's hold on. Let me get the audio up here.
That sounds super frightening.
Yeah.
That's like the opening of one of those like Pacific Rim movies.
Right. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
something coming out of the ocean.
Out of the water.
I had a hot take on this.
Yeah.
Pun intended. And you're welcome. And I think I'm wrong. And I need you guys to help me see the light here. All right.
Yep.
I think I'm wrong. Let's just start there. Okay. I think whenever Josh started it out great here with me where I'm going. One, when you've got lava leaking off an island into water and it looks like it does, like people with phones and stuff, really cool. It's gorgeous, right? It's like this thing of nature that we don't really get to see. Like, leave it to the Nat Geo photographers. Leave it to the professionals who have devoted their whole life to legitimately risking your life in the case of dangerous situations like this to get up close with an HD camera and do it right and film it and photograph it, and so we can all see it on planet Earth and we can watch on Netflix, and it's great. If you're gonna be the person who's gonna hop on a boat and go see this thing for yourself, put your phone away. Don't film it because you need to pay attention in case something bad happens, right? Like, and enjoy it for what it's worth. Because just like fireworks on the 4th of July, nobody wants to watch your stupid, grainy, dark video of smoke coming out of water from this cool Hawaii trip you got to go on and everybody else is at their dumb job that they hate. But if you're gonna film it, if you're gonna film a spectacle because you want to be internet famous like everybody else, commit to the bit. And when something bad happens, keep it rolling. Look at the thing, and so we can all see what's going on. Don't tuck it away. Oh, God, I can't. And we just hear screams, and then we don't see anything, and it's over. Like, that's not anything. That doesn't get us anywhere. Like, commit, all right? Keep your phone on, and keep it aimed at whatever's happening, and, like, get the footage. Or, you know, I don't know.
It'd be like the wartime correspondent who was there, but the moment a firefight breaks out, it's just him under a car.
Well, you know, I mean, in that situation, you know you're going to be in a war. This guy, I'd argue he was not trying to be internet famous. Like, that's the first thing, is he just wanted to get a stupid video of him by the lava.
He submitted this footage to BuzzFeed so
after
they would
the explosion. That's what I'm saying. After the explosion.
You can't tell me somebody who's not looking to be internet famous.
You're not submitting the video of just the lava flowing in and nothing happening, right? Like, you're not submitting that to BuzzFeed. You're submitting the video of the explosion happening. And in that case, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably fall down screaming.
Right, but of course, as would I. I don't think normal people are thinking to themselves, I can't wait to see, like, nobody thinks I got something great, I better call up BuzzFeed. Like, people don't think that. They just shoot this thing and post it on Facebook. This guy is the kind of person to think, how can I make this something bigger? How can I make money off of this? I think this guy is looking for a little bit of that internet fame, that 15 minutes Anna was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like the war correspondent thing. It's like if the war was going on and people hopped on planes and flew over there just to watch the spectacle. And then when things go wrong, then they're upset. Oh no, I can't film it because I hopped under a car, I'm scared. Like, if you're gonna get into it, if you're gonna dive right into the middle of a problem, all right, and film it, then when it gets bad, you better be ready. Like, you
commit
to the bit. Like, I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
All I can think about is my great aunt that loves photographing and filming everything. That's what I have in mind. I don't have in mind someone that wants to be internet famous. I'm actually thinking, you know, this is probably that person that is always taking photos of everybody and filming everything.
So, If you imagine your great aunt sitting here, and then Zach just totally tearing into her for not
because she wasn't cool under pressure when lava exploded on her.
You broke your leg. I don't care.
Like, you don't sign up to be a plumber and then, like, complain that you have to deal with a lot of crap at your job, right? Like,
they didn't sign up to be a plumber. They didn't sign up to go
on
a boat
to cruise by a volcano, man. Like, you're pretty far. You don't be a nature photographer and go out and shoot all day and then be like, oh, I got a sunburn. This sucks.
He's not a nature photographer.
That's what you signed up for.
Well,
that is the job you took as a member of society, filming that,
it's
archiving
not his
it for the rest of us.
I love it.
I think it is.
It's almost a safari video all over again, right? Like, people go there
very
and
much like
they
a safari
think,
video.
oh,
Yes.
the animals are tamed. This is all right. So they thought,
Right.
you know, the volcano is safe enough. They didn't think this Joe just wants to take people and charge them to see these near-death experience, which they think is still safe.
Amanda pointing out in the comments, Zach wants people to die for his visual pleasure. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm tired, man. How many internet videos? Look, okay, we're a little desensitized, all right, by the internet. I think that's fair, all right.
Sure.
We've all seen some things that we thought to ourselves that was weird, and now we're at a point where it's like we're bored, okay. And when it comes to things with like violent explosions or lava, like when it cuts to black and you can't see anything, it's like, well, what?
If you're in here running the board and a bomb goes off in the studio, are you cutting to the correct camera to catch the explosion, or are you running away?
Our studio isn't full of bombs that might or might not go off.
Know it was
That's the difference. Like, you knew there was lava. You knew the risk. You accepted that, right? I mean, am I?
We're minimizing the risks, I bet. Like, people were not aware, like, some explosion was going to happen.
I think you're making some great points in there. I really do. Like, I think
camera
I'm wrong
to catch all the bombs going off.
I think something is not quite clicking for me, and I'm hoping you can all help me figure it out.
Look at that hot
thank
take.
you.
I kind of agree with Zach. You have an ally.
A commitment here.
Yeah.
Look who it is.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't gonna make the obvious commitment. There you go. Oh man, I love how we can take the simplest video and then have a 5-minute conversation about whether or not that person's to blame. The person who was on a tour boat to take some video to send back to their grandkids is now all of a
Literally
sudden
got molten
a jerk.
rock thrown on them.
Yeah.
Why could they have had a steady
filming
camera?
Molten Rock, man, and Molten Rock lands on you, you kind of signed up for it. Like
Why
a
didn't
little
they get
bit.
that? They didn't have that phone on a gimbal and catch that thing.
Yeah.
If it had been a drone, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Either way, this is the kind of stuff we have all the time here on the Lunch Break Show. Thank you guys for sticking around. We appreciate it. We'll be back on Friday, right here from 12 until 1. You can always email us, comment, share, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 to 1, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and anywhere where podcasts can be heard. Have a great day. I'll see you guys on Friday.